Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the World at War Comics podcast. I have a very special guest today, Mr. Jason Moore, actor extraordinaire. You'll notice that Curtis Hoyle on The Punisher, which was an amazing series that I fell in love with. I got my Punisher sweater on just out of remembrance of that role that you played, and I hope you get to play it again. But man, Jason, man, thank you so much for being with me, man.
Hey, thank you for having me, Tom. This is great.
Yeah. Good to see you again. I think the last time we talked, you were like in Europe shooting a movie or something. Is that all wrapped up?
Yeah, that's all wrapped up.
Okay.
And you're looking forward to that. I think in fact I spoke to one of the producers and they just sold it. So we'll see what happens with that one. See what market it hits first. So
Yeah, yeah.
on my
That's
end,
cool.
we do the work and then we don't know nothing about it. They don't fill us in. We just gotta wait like everyone else for it to come out.
That just seems crazy, how that works, huh?
We're the last to know everything.
All
Actors,
right.
actors got the least power,
Really?
like I think ever in history. They're not really making stars anymore, so only stars that studios depended on could have these outrageous demands. Every one of us is replaceable. It
Wow.
doesn't matter at this point. That's how they designed it,
Hmm.
so that they can maintain the power. But hey, I don't want to get this all down. And this is what it is. I'm
Yeah,
in the
I
business.
mean,
This is just what it is. Um,
exactly. I mean, that's what you got to operate in that environment,
but
right?
but yeah. So my point is that we don't know shit. We the last one to find out where we got to be. Changes to the script. We're the last to find out anything. Uh, what time to show up to set. Last to find out.
That's crazy, man.
Everybody find
That seems
out.
mind
Yeah.
blowing to me, but hey, like you said, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like here's the thing. Just to give you a little bit insight of how it works. So it's which you guys probably already know. So it's like if something changes, they don't call me directly. They'll call my people, and then my people call me. So that's what I mean. Like we're the last to know because we got to go through all those people. But anyway, go ahead, man.
No, it's all good, Jason. I mean, that's crazy to me, but hey, like you said, that's the environment that you got to work in. You just got to figure out how to operate and be successful in it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
what I would love to do, Jason, is, man, can we go back into your history? Like, where did this passion for the arts come from? Like, was it at a very early age? Did you know very early on this is what you wanted to do? Or is it something that you kind of fell into later on in life? I mean, everyone kind of has their story, how they kind of got into acting, man. I would love to know a little bit more about yours.
Yeah. So I'm one that came later on in life. It was an interest. When I was a little kid, you kind of need adults to kind of direct your interest. You don't know what an interest is when you're a kid. You don't know. But when I was a kid, I was always a kid with the camcorder. I was interested in where the camera was, how the camera worked, how video edit. I thought one of the most amazing things was the first time I was able to put sound to video. I felt like I was creating magic. I was like, holy smokes, putting sound to video that I shot. It wasn't my sound, of course. It was like some soundtrack of some movie or something. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I was always interested in that. So I was the one with the family video camera recording everything. But again, I didn't know what the interest, like I was running track, I was one of those guys. And the only reason I was doing that is because my brothers and everybody around me was doing it. Right. So I just did
Right.
what pretty much everyone around me was doing. Um, uh, Movies and TV, of course, had this sort of profound effect on me. Growing up watching shows like The Hulk, right? It was like, that stuff was amazing to me, right? And I mean, even cartoons,
Yeah.
because because you know when I discovered how when I was very young when I discovered how they did cartoons, I was like, yo, that they're creating a motion picture just by drawing something and doing it over and over and over again and flipping paper. I was like, that's amazing.
It is, right?
That's motion picture, right? I was like, this. All right. So I had all this interest in filmmaking, like how it was done, but again, I never acted upon it. When I got in college, um, then I was like, all right, I gotta kind of focus up here. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? I still hadn't decided, and I was a freshman in college, going across campus to classes, and like I remember when I was picking my classes, I didn't even know what classes to pick because I had no focus. So I was just like, all right, what are the classes I need to take to get my credits to get up out of here, right? So that's how I was thinking. But then I was like, no, I got to focus. So one day I was like, all right, what is it going to be? You got to make a choice. And I think it came down to like two things. I was either going to be like like a detective or something, which you'd have to go in law enforcement, or be a cop. It was something. I can't remember what the other thing was. That's how it didn't win. When I had two options for myself. I gave myself two options. And whichever one I chose, I was going to go at it as hard as I could. And I chose acting. Didn't know anything about it. Again, I didn't take any sort of classes. I was interested. I would walk by the theater in high school and slowly walk and look. But now my boys was gonna catch up with my boys again. So it was like something that if I had more a more of a push in that direction,
Right.
I would have done it earlier for sure. But I did it later on. And then I went to acting school, and I was just getting bit by the bug nearly every single day. And then getting constantly inspired by it. I would watch movies and just be, oh yeah, I would watch these actors do these, and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. This is what I want to do. And I mean, I knew nothing about it. I was probably the worst actor on the planet when I first started. I just did that approach it. And so, but I got rejected from that acting school like 3 times before I got in.
Wow.
But like I said, my mind was made up.
Mhm.
Rejection was just an obstacle to get around. Didn't stop me. And so once I got in, I was already graduating college at the time, started school over, as well as there's no rush. I found out what I wanted to do and I was going to do it. And so then I went through that acting program. Um, and that's where it all started, man.
And what was your like first gig after you get out of acting school? Do you go get an agent right away and you start that whole process? What does that look like for someone that just comes out of acting school?
Right. Back when I was in school, look, I say back when I was in school. Yeah, it was some time ago. I don't know if things changed, but back when I was in school, in that conservatory, we couldn't do jobs.
Mm.
You had to focus on the conservatory. If you were caught doing a job, an acting job, you'd be kicked out of the conservatory. I don't know if that's changed, but that's how it was back then. And as I got older, remember, I was already older because I already went through pretty much 4 years of college. So I was going to doing my mind, I was like, yo, how are they going to stop me from advancing my career or kicking on my career because I'm in this program? Like, isn't this program supposed to be getting like, I, I started to think differently. I was no longer just a young student. I was one of those students that got held back, if you want to say it like that, right? And so I got held back, and so I was thinking a little ahead of some of the other students in the class. And so at the end of junior year, senior year, I started submitting myself for jobs. I started submitting myself for jobs. This thing called Actors Access. That's when it first came out. And we had the ability to submit ourselves for jobs and not have to wait on agents.
Oh, wow.
When that came out, a person like me, that was the only tool I needed because I was that hungry. I was that ripe. Everything was just like fresh in the brain in terms of like how to act. Nothing was really like nothing was like really sort of like it wasn't ingrained, but it wasn't what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't honed in yet. It wasn't perfected. All the stuff I learned in school wasn't perfected yet. It wasn't boiled down into a sort of pure form for me in terms of how I approach the work. But it was all fresh, right? And so having Actors Access, I was on that thing for hours, like just submit myself, looking just like this in the camera. I'm sure if the computer had a camera, I was going to just submit hundreds of jobs. And then uh I got hit with like a music video at first, and then I, I can't really remember how it all started, but the soap opera started calling. And so, my first jobs was like the soap operas in New York.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Dude, I was so excited. You don't understand. I was like, I'm coming from no background in this, and then being on set with these people who've been acting for years. I was like, I'm here. Like, this is it. And then a Disney movie came, and I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm supposed to do this. Is the right decision. And then the biggest movie opportunity came. And at that point, I was like, I don't know. I started to doubt one myself. So that because I was like, winning is could be difficult. The I'm not the only first one to say this, but when things start, it gets a bit scary. It was a bit scary when all these jobs started to come because I felt like I wasn't prepared. So there's this film called The Express. Um, uh, it was an Ernie Davis story, football player who got, I think, leukemia and then died. Um, Chadwick Boseman was in the film. He played who did he play? He was a smaller character. There was another actor who played Ernie Davis, but I went in there for Jim Brown, played young Jim Brown.
Wow.
So I'm testing with Dennis Quaid here in California. They flew me out to California. No, they flew me out to California, and then we flew to Chicago to do the screen test. Choked. I mean, I froze.
Yeah.
Again, I was pretty much alone. I didn't really have a, an agent to coach me through that kind of pressure. It was the first time I felt like I blew it. Oh, I was distraught. I was like, man, I blew it. I blew it under pressure. Choked. Um, and of course I was down on myself, just didn't want to do anything. But then that feeling went away and just kept on doing it. And then other things came after that. But that was like, and it's memorable to me. I mean, I would get agents. I was so hungry and so like impatient and aggressive. If they went silent on me for like a week, I was sending a dismissal letter. I was like, I'm done. I'm going to someplace else. I didn't keep an agent long at all because I heard too many bad things about them, and and they didn't really care what we did. We were just there as like a number, how much money we could bring in. I took my career seriously. They didn't take my career seriously, and so I used them as much as I could. And then once it was done, you got rid of them, just like they would do for me.
Yeah.
I just moved faster than they did because I knew it was coming. But I got that kind of guidance from like other friends in the business. And even now, I think some of that still lingers with me. Um, because I still don't, I haven't worked with an agent since then. That's like what, almost 20 years ago.
Wow. Is that pretty normal to function without an agent? Is it a lot of people in your position that do that?
No, no, most people get agents.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, shit, you save that money, you're gonna be real happy. When you don't gotta cough up that 10% for that agent, and you look at how much that is, you like, holy smoke. That's a more than a down payment on a house. You're like, yo, I could have literally gotten a house with what I paid what I gave somebody else. Because pre-taxes. So anyway, but if you get an agent that believes in you, that and you'll know it. Like I feel like you should know it. Agents who go dark on their talent, on their clients, yeah, that's fucked up. Because again, we as actors, we're so much in the dark. We don't know what's going on, right? It's like, well, I don't talk to those people on the other end. You do. Find out some information to give me. Like, hey, how did that audition go? What did they think about it? Did I fuck it up? Was there some improvement that could be there?
Mhm.
When agents don't willingly give that information, now they got to work. That's why you gotta have an agent that's not trying to have some long ass client list. That's a tell sign that they're just using you as a number. They got a long client list because they can't focus on that many people. It's too much work.
And they're making money off of you that you're doing your own thing, getting your own gigs, and they're
Yeah.
just making 10% off of whatever you do. And
Yeah.
if no one says anything, why wouldn't they change that, right?
Yep. Yep. And that's and then the lawyers come out of nowhere. The lawyers get 5%, and they don't even tell you Happy New Year or Happy Birthday. The only time you hear from them is when that contract got to get signed, and they're excited and shit like that, and you've never not spoken to them. It's crazy. The business is crazy. I still love it though. I don't think it's any different than any other industry in terms of like negotiating and business dealings and how hungry people are, how cutthroat some people are. When there's this transfer of like this kind of money, yeah, you're gonna deal with like some very hardcore people. So
And shady people, right? I mean, how long do you think it took you before you were able to kind of notice those type of people? Was it real quick, or were there some bumps in the road on the way to that kind of knowledge of like, I know what this type of person is and I'm gonna stay far away from them?
fortunately, I was schooled. I learned early on. Again, because I wasn't waiting for that school to do anything for me. I started going out there trekking. Oh man, I remember those days. I was so young and green. Oh, hungry though. In the streets of New York City, going to this place, going to that place, going this, just walking in the doors, and meeting agents, having meetings with agents with just me walking in there. Oh, and so one agent, I did a job, and I got residuals for that job. And that agent called me, was like, "Where are my residuals?" I was like, "Hold up. First of all, you don't get the residuals. You get the initial payment, cut the initial payment. And the residuals was like $300. He wanted residuals. I'm like, yo, hold up. Why would you take from your client who you know is hungry out here? Why would you take $40 from him, $30 from him?" I was
It's
like, all
crazy.
right, even if that was legal and accepted, I don't want you nowhere near me. So I learned early on about the potential for shadiness. And I didn't encounter it since. I haven't really encountered shadiness in the business. Just cutthroat, hardcore, straight up like what you would expect in sort of mafia negotiations. Man, like the threats that did, the tough talk, the hangups. It's all everybody's all acting. Everybody's performing.
It never stops, right? There's not an on and off switch, right?
Yeah, they're performing. Yeah, yeah, man.
Like you said, I think some of those elements cross all kinds of different types of careers, right? Whether you're doing something at some large firm, or yeah, I think all that you have to watch out for no matter what. But it just seems like some of the best stories of that come from that acting world, though, man, because there's some crazy stuff that seems to go down once in a while.
It does, and you'll think, there's a bunch of snowflakes and just soft liberals being artsy fartsy all over the place. Man, these gangsters. And I didn't know it until I was privy to a negotiation for one of my guests. I'm not gonna say who it is. I won't get my, but I was privy to a negotiation. Gangsters.
Wow.
I was like, wow. Thing is, see here's the thing. Actors are never exposed to this. So you're sitting around going to the coffee shop, going shopping, going working out, going about your day after you audition, and your name is being talked about in some boardroom somewhere. And somebody's fighting over you. Somebody's fighting for you. Somebody's fighting against you. Fuck that motherfucker. Nobody knows like that. Nobody's gonna go see that movie because he's in there. Like, fuck, get him out the movie. No, no, no. So, and then there's somebody arguing on your behalf. All this is happening as an actor. You're just walking about. You don't know none of this. And that's what I'm saying. Is like, I would like to know.
For sure.
I want to know who's saying all that wicked shit about me or all that. That I want a bit, but no, that's just the process, man. And it's uh I'm glad I was privy to it at the time because it just changed my perspective on the business. Um, which then also leads me to I'm gonna allow you to do the questioning. I'm just going on.
No,
You
no,
just
no, please. Yeah, no, it's free
remember,
flowing. Free flowing, Jason.
um, like you're in order to survive in this business, you got to have an understanding of how it operates. Because if you come in this business with false pretenses or expectations, and then they are not met, or you're gonna get a rude awakening. And as I've seen countless times, people go back home, go work at the Home Depot, and do a myriad. They give up. It's for me. I think I'm more saddened by it when I see some of my friends I went to acting school with do that than they are. Because if that happens to me, I have given up. Do you know what that's like? I have given up. I have surrendered. I have betrayed myself. And I can't see myself ever doing that. It would have to be some extreme circumstance for me to do something like that. And so I feel sad for my friend. Like I ran into one just the other day at the supermarket who I went to acting school with. And he was good, man. He was suave, like a real sexy style in his acting, right? Um, Spanish guy. And he gave it up. And I saw him and we're talking and we don't even have the same things in common anymore. So it's a little weird. And so I sit across, man, I don't even want to talk about what I've done in front because I just feel like I'm be thrown in his face. So I just talk about other stuff I've done, right? Instead of the acting. I said, yeah, it's a struggle. Let's just keep, you gotta keep going and just keep pushing that. So yeah, it's to me, it saddens me when I see someone give. So that's why you gotta think right. You gotta have your mind in the right place, so that you can have longevity in this business. Cause it's fucking hard, man. Like you get to think about like how emotional acting is. Acting, for it to be true, you have to put yourself there. No other way around it. And so, as a dude, you making yourself so vulnerable. And some dudes are emotional, but we're less emotional than women. So I say, as a dude, you're constantly putting yourself in this emotional state to do an audition, to make it work. So someone could say, "Oh, this guy has range," and it just doesn't go away. It just doesn't turn off all the time.
So it just feels like a grind, constant grind then?
Oh my gosh, man. It's like you like in order for the scene if the character gets angry in the scene, you have to get fucking angry. But being angry isn't fun. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not fun. Or if the character is suffering a loss, you got to find that within yourself to make the scene real. You got to go through that. It gets difficult when you're constantly doing that. And that on top of that is the rejection. So you do all that for the hopes of getting a gig and you don't get it. After some time in this business, that's going to wear on you. And the ones who can kind of like endure through that are the ones you see on screen.
So what do you do as you move on and you have this maturity and you've been in the game for a certain amount of time? Are there techniques that you do so that that doesn't break you down, that emotional up and down, constantly trying to live out these experiences in your acting so that they're real? And then the rejection, like what are some of the things that you're doing in order to kind of stay positive and to keep grinding?
Well, that's the part of becoming a professional. And that's what separates professionals. Professionals know not to keep it lingering.
Mhm.
But on your rise up to becoming a working actor, that's where it is. When you have become a professional, you know how to manage that within yourself. That's what makes you a professional. I believe. But no one starts out at like some professional actor. I don't care if they get one gig or not. You have to learn how to work on set, work with different people, encounter different situations on set in order to become that professional actor. And there's no excuse for acting out on your emotions. You got to know how to filter it when you're off camera. Um, you have to know how to process it. So keeping good people around is usually a good way of doing it. Having your outlets, working out, whatever's fun. For me, golf is, I go out on the golf course and I think, right? Like I sometimes when I'm stressed on shit, I just go play around the golf. So I have my outlets, you know.
So, how far into your career do you think, like, how many years before you felt like you hit that level of professionalism to where that didn't affect you like it did at the beginning?
Well,
Or was it like a certain acting role that you had that you
no,
broke through, and that's when it kind of like now that's not a big issue in your career anymore?
no, I think it's ongoing. And I don't think it's ever, for me, it's never been like it's never been a major problem. I've seen it in other people. But I think it's ongoing because your journey in your acting career is running parallel with your life. So when different life situations happen, say you gotta get a divorce, say you gotta go through a breakup, that may challenge how you're able to control your emotions while you're on set or going through something on you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, and so it's like it's gonna run parallel. So I think a person who has like an even temperament would be okay. Erratic emotions, um, what I've seen cause people to lose jobs and been difficult to work with. And this industry is very much like, I like working with you. We're gonna work together. Yeah. So that's it. And so yeah, it's ongoing, man. I can't say that there's been a specific point that I figured it out, but I just became aware of it throughout the years. Um, and it's like that manifests in another way where it's like, say you're desperate to get a job. You really need to get a job. That comes across on screen.
Really, yeah.
Every actor is desperate to get a job. So how do you perform without that desperation showing up? You gotta learn how to do that. That's how you kind of you could tell the professional actors.
So does it come out as like overacting? Is that how you see it in your experience? Like you're just trying so hard that it just seems unreal,
It
or
comes out in many different ways, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing: the camera is such a crazy thing. The camera is such a crazy thing, man. Like I'll try anybody. I like let anybody do this, right? Have some just talk with your friends, right? You say you're having a conversation with your friends. Just shooting shit. Have somebody put a camera on a tripod and point that camera at you. I guarantee you're gonna change. Something in here is gonna change. Something here is gonna change, and then it's gonna manifest outwardly on the body, right? And
Yeah, you go
so
right here, I think, right? It's all right here at that point, right?
it
Because
goes
you're thinking of all
everywhere.
kinds of
Like
scenarios.
you sometimes your body will get warm. It's now some adrenaline is pumping through, so you feel warmness go. You're like, and then that comes across your face. Don't even know you're doing it though. That's the thing. The camera does that. Even the professional actors, it does it. So, and trust me, it happens to me. I'm not sort of immune to that stuff from happening. So that camera gets set up. All of a sudden, I feel like I need to start performing. Stop it, Jason. Cut it out. Cut it out. Just be yourself and chill. It's kind of like the conversation I have with my son. Camera's there. I don't try to ignore the camera. I can't do that. All I can do is commit to what I'm trying to do in the scene, and that should take care of it, right? So they put the camera. I'm holding my cell phone, so maybe I'm gonna. And so they put the camera up, and then my job is to be like, how do I just be me in front of that camera? That's what acting is. You're getting taught how to be yourself in front of the camera, as if the camera wasn't there,
Wow. I mean,
which is the most
that's
interesting
crazy.
part of you always is when you're just being yourself and someone can watch you um, like a fly on the wall. That's what it is. It's
That's
crazy.
amazing. That is amazing. Now, as you start to get gigs, Jason, you have like TV and TV series, and you have full length like movies, right? Is there one environment that you enjoy as an actor that's better than the other, or are they virtually kind of the same? And you can hardly tell the difference between doing an ongoing like series like The Punisher as opposed to like a movie, like a 2 hour movie.
No, they're different. They're different for sure. Movie TV is fast paced, brother. Just like no room for error, no room for mistakes. It's so much money every single day, like millions every day. So many moving parts. And so you don't really get time to cook in these roles, man. You don't get time to like those moments of pause, like those fat silent moments that you see in like films. No, you don't see this on TV. Some TV shows you do, some of the really good ones, but then they earn that, right? Game of Thrones got a lot of fat part, but Game of Thrones is like Game of Thrones. But for TV, no, it moves. All right, you got days to meet. You have to meet your days because your episode got to be ready for the next air date. Um, and so it moves fast. And so as an actor, you just got to be ready to go. Soaps, insane. Soaps is an operation where it's like they'll change that script on the fly. You got to go shoot it. Ain't no time to get off book. You're doing like 15 soaps, maybe in a week. It's
Wow,
crazy.
wow.
15 episodes. I said 50 episodes in a week. It's crazy. It could be that much, right? And they're moving like just turning episode after episode. Um, and so yeah, it's different. It's different. I like TV because TV is you get really good pay. The money is really good on TV. Every actor would tell you that. In movies, you get to indulge a little more in the performance. So those are the difference that I like.
And
And
do you
movies,
have one? So obviously the money would be the draw to the TV, but just from the acting, is there one that you prefer over the other? Do you enjoy the ability to indulge in a film as opposed to TV, or do you like the TV better because you like that fast pace and
yeah, but yeah, it's if you got a dope script, starts there, brother. Like if you get like the writing is sick, acting is effortless, and you just you, I want that film. I wish I can have it every single time. But that doesn't happen. Um, Me talking about money is a great motivator because and I don't want to sound like I don't respect the craft. That's not what it is. It's like all those years of struggling, uh, money becomes important, especially as you get older. It doesn't matter. TV and
100%?
money TV is secure, right? You getting that shit every episode. Boom, boom, boom. Movie is just you shoot, you go do a movie, they may need you for 3 weeks and then you're done. Maybe 3 months, maybe. Um, but then you're done. Uh, TV could be 6 months to the year, right? Depending on how many episodes you're gonna shoot. Two weeks per episode. And so it's different fulfillment, but I would love to get like a, a, a bomb ass script and have room to play with that. That's what that's that's where you get to see what Jason can do. Most people have yet to see that
So
because
out of everything that you've done, Jason, do you have one thing that you're like, that's the best thing I've done so far in your eyes, like your favorite thing that you've done, whether movie or TV?
no,
No.
I don't have that because um I just all the elements haven't been there for everything yet. Some of the projects I've done by myself, like I've done on my own, I'm like, yo, Jason, that's a wicked performance. But those are the ones that very little people are going to see. So that element. And then I'll get another gig where it's like the writing is trash, but the money's good and everybody's going to see it. And my character is like, not well rounded or in depth. And so, but everybody's going to see it. So a lot of things got to come in alignment for actors, man. A lot of things, man. And that's where the luck part is. And it's also the struggle and the grind. But it's also why, and I do anything and someone sees what I do, and someone appreciates it. Oh, you talking to my soul at that point. And it's not, I mean, maybe there is some narcissism there, but no, it's not. I remember how I was affected watching actors on TV. And if I can even do an ounce of that, I feel like I'm doing my part. I feel like I'll be happy with that. And if somebody tells me that that happened, oh, well, now I know. All right. So yeah, it's just
I think that's a very normal human trait. Bless you. A very normal human trait, Jason. I mean, if I played baseball and I got a double and someone said, "Man, that was a nice hit," I felt very good. I don't think that's any different than, "Hey, I saw you on the second season of The Punisher, man, and your acting as Curtis Hoyle was just
mhm.
out, you knocked it out of the park." I mean, I think those are two the same thing, right? So
Yeah, it is. It is. But to give
right.
you a little more clarity, there's a scene in there's a character that in season 2, the guy who's like stuttering, living in his car. Um, I set out as an objective, like I had an arc with this character that I set for myself on how I wanted to like take this guy, and I want to do as much as I can for him to pull him out of a situation. I want to be that kind of rock from a complete stranger that gives you everything you need to bring you up out of your darkness. And then when I go to a convention and then someone talks to me and they said that they felt that, but they didn't know what I was thinking when I was performing it. But hearing them say it was like, oh man, that was like that is what gives me it's like I'll keep coming back and doing this. If I can do that, I'll keep coming back. I'll do this forever.
That's amazing. Yeah. It's a good feeling, man. Good
Good
feeling.
feeling. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. So let's kind of get into how you got that Punisher role. Can you kind of walk us through what that looked like? And how familiar were you with the Punisher before you took that role?
I'll start with the last part of the question
Hmm.
first. Um, I knew about the Punisher, watched all the films, loved the character because I'm just one of those kind of guys. Like everyone likes Spider-Man because he's like this really nice kid, doesn't really kill anybody. No, I'm like, yo, if you're a bad person, you do some bad shit, I don't mind if you get murked. And so the Punisher was that expression for me. Was like, he was that type of vision. I was like, that's cool. The Hulk, I also talk about the Hulk. The other one was the Wolverine, because those motherfuckers got mad. And that was such a reality to me. I was like, because I was living in a world, I'm not gonna go too far into, was living in a world where I couldn't get mad. I'll explain more about that later, but I couldn't get mad. And so when I was able to see that, I kind of just lived through that. But anyway, um, just the process of auditioning. Audition comes across. For Marvel joints, you don't know it's Marvel because they got code words. Um, I think it was called Crime was the code word at the time. Um, and just some generic sites. So I just kind of went and auditioned for it. It was like, and didn't think about it. And then it was a callback. But the callback wasn't in person. The callback was, I think it was like I had to do another tape or something like that. Something like that. I can't really remember. Hold on, let me think. Yeah, it was an audition. Sent the tape in, Probably like a month or two goes by, and then there's a callback. I had forgotten about it. It was crying. And then did the callback, and then you start to get a little buzz. Just the phone keeps ringing, and they want to know, what's your schedule like? You doing anything else? Then you're like, oh, these people are interested. And then it comes across that, hey, my manager calls me. It's like, yeah, this is for the Punisher, Marvel's new TV show that's coming out. And then I was like, no, like on Netflix. I was like, because I had one, like when I saw Daredevil, I was the one in the house like, oh, finally somebody did it right.
For sure,
Right? I
man.
was like, then I
Daredevil
was
is
like,
a
this is
dope
what I
as
want
hell,
to
man.
see as a kid that grew up in it. I want to see adult versions of it now.
100%. 100%.
Um, I mean, I can't even tell you how excited I was to watch Ditto. And then I got that call for the Punisher. I was lit. I was lit. And to tell you the truth, from that very first audition, the role was always mine. Like they had never, they just didn't tell me. They were doing like, background check, doing my history and all that stuff. Is he an asshole? What kind of person is he? Again, so that stuff is important. Um, and then when it was like a weight off of my chest. Like I remember I slept for like a week. I promise you I couldn't do anything. I was so exhausted from grinding and trying to get the next gig so hard after years. Once that happened, I had this release. Didn't even know I had that much tension in my body. And was so relieved and kind of like slept for a week. Um, and and then started getting ready for that. I was like, all right, I'm be on the screen. Got to keep the body in shape. You always got to keep the body somewhere in shape, and then you can work it when you get close when you get a project.
Almost like a
Um,
fighter, right? You have your regular weight and you have your fighting weight, right?
yeah. And so I was like, all right, just start getting ready for this. I was so excited, couldn't tell anybody. That's the hard part. It's like you're so excited you can't tell anybody, and then boom, it showed up on set, and the rest is history, man.
Does the grind slow down once you know you have a role like that? Like, do you kind of back off, like take your foot off the accelerator a little bit on grinding to find that next role when you know you have this role? Because you are committing to a certain time, or you constantly, because you don't know how long it's going to last and how long that stretch is going to be, you're just constantly 100% looking for that next role.
Well, here's the thing. Good question. Really good question. My initial thought was, oh, I'm set. I'm doing a Marvel TV show, 6 seasons. I'm set. This is going to lead to everything else. That's not how it turns out. Because again, you don't know what's being said in those boardrooms. And so I pulled back and from the grind mainly because I had the show. The show was supposed to get the next shows and the next films. And that was happening. There's a lot of auditions. You get a lot of buzz, man. A lot of talk happens right when you get Marvel show at that. A lot of talk, a lot of buzz. And then uh, you're like, this work is going to beget more work. That's not how it happens. Now it can happen that way, but that's not how this happened. So was I grinding as hard once I doing it? No. Did I learn my lesson? Yes. And so never pulling back next time. Never pulling back. And so I did fall off in terms of that grind. Because I had thought one way and it didn't come out that way. So the grind will continue on the next show. That's my advice for anybody. Just keep the grind going.
Now that we know Daredevil is coming to Disney Plus. There's rumors that John will be possibly back for the Punisher. and might make. I mean, this is already kind of known news, right? That he might make a presence in the Daredevil, and then there's talk that there could be a third season of the Punisher. Does that kind of get you excited and hopefully to reprise that role, or what does that even look like?
After you've been burnt in this industry, you watch what you get excited for. Um, no, I'm not excited about it. Because nothing is guaranteed. Now, if you're asking me, would you would you be would you do it if it can? Hell yeah. I would love for that to happen. But I ain't excited that it is gonna happen. You know, again, all you gotta do is look at like hasn't even been called by Deborah Ann Wall hasn't even been called by Marvel. She's come out publicly about that. I was like, they ain't called Deborah back. They're not calling me. I don't think they're gonna call me back. Deborah? They only called Charlie. They only called John, I know so far. I think. Um, I don't know if they're getting anybody else. I think it's just them two so far.
I know there
Everybody.
was a lot of frustration and anger by fans of Daredevil that only Charlie was being brought back as Daredevil, but the rest of the supporting cast never got a call. And then the news had just come out over the last week that those calls have been made, and it's probably a lot of fan uproar. And some of their series on Disney Plus haven't worked out like they thought it would. Like Echo, I don't think did exactly what they were hoping that it would do from a viewership standpoint. So now they're going back and they are adding some of those key supporting roles that made that series Daredevil so special. I'm wondering if that might happen with the Punisher too.
If they brought again, I would hope for that to happen. That'd be, and if it does happen, you'd be the first to know. I'll tell you first.
That's
I'll
awesome,
keep you
man.
posted.
I hope
Um,
so. I mean, I'm pulling for you, Jay. I mean, I hope so
yeah,
because
that'd be
you
dope.
played
And not
such an
only
important role in that series. You know what I mean?
it was such unfinished work, man. We were just not done yet. And it just to have the rug pulled out from underneath you like that is like, fuck, man. Anyway, that would be dope if that happens. I thought Echo looked dope. I am gonna watch Echo, but I haven't watched it yet. And I'm wondering, I mean, Daredevil made an appearance in that too, right?
Correct. Yeah, the very first episode, big fight scene and everything. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. You may know more about it than me because you're following the trades or something like that. But no phone calls came my way. Um, and John ain't telling me nothing. So I don't know. I don't know.
Fingers crossed, man. Because I think that's an important role to be filled, just because that character played such an important role in those two seasons, as that support, not just for Frank, but for a lot of others, like you said, whether it was the guy in the van or there was a lot of other folks also that was
Mhm.
helped by that role. That role was like the balance with all the emotions that were going on with all
Yeah,
those other
yeah,
characters, and Curtis was that one that, I mean, there's some highs and lows, but for the most part, man, even keel, very
right,
mature how he handled everything. Like that role was really important. So
right,
I mean,
right.
it'd be weird if you don't get that call, but like I understand that you have to protect yourself to make sure, and you've been in the game for a long time. That yeah, you not until you get the call, it
Oh
is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
I
just got to
can't be
be.
excited about like the rumors and trades because um even knowing more than that, you know, shit changes and then you're like, if you put your heart out there or it can you get beat up. So yeah, I usually wait.
Can we talk a little bit about John? Like, obviously, I don't know him, but I've seen him on interviews. Is he as intense in real life as he is like when you see him in like his roles? And he just seems like a super like Very intense, man. Very intense
No,
joke.
he plays intense. Okay, he's a real jovial dude
Yeah,
person. He's I mean, he's pretty calm. He's pretty mellow in person. Um, I mean, having conversations with him, it's like, I mean, that's a cap that he puts on it. But through his expression that, if he can go crazy, he can go wild. Like, I think acting is his outlet. I don't know, just assuming that it's his outlet to kind of express himself there. But nah, he got his dog with him, jokes around, has fun. He was negging me nearly every day. I had a cookie. He was like, "Yo, what kind of grown man eat cookies?" You know, he was there. We had fun on set. And he was a great dude to work with. I mean, he was a great leader on set too. So, all good things about John.
that's
All good things
awesome,
about him.
man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. And
awesome,
I won't
man.
be the only one to say this about him. I think it's pretty even consensus about who John is for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, we're all pulling for this Punisher season 3. Can we talk a little bit about voice acting? Because you've been doing a little bit of that as well, man. What is that like?
Man, if I can make a living doing that alone, I'll do it. I'll be shopping for pajamas all year round because. But here's the thing: it doesn't change how you approach acting. You in that booth with all the expressions and motions and body activity as if you were in the real scene. and so it's the only way you can make it. Your voice, put your voice in the real space. I want to do more of it. Of course, I want to do a lot more of it. So I'm looking more into it. I haven't really been putting a lot of energy into voice, but I am. I'm this year definitely putting more into it.
Yeah, I think one of your last Instagrams, man, you had a whole monologue going, man. And if you close your eyes, man, it sounds pretty dope.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Joker and the Batman, and oh man, it looks freaking
That
awesome, man.
that was as a DC character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
um, um, yeah, I was like, let me post this. Like usually I don't post auditions, but I was like, I don't know, I was compelled to just post that video for some reason. I just randomly found, I was like, oh, I'll post this. Um, but it's like, I guess you want people to see your like the range of shit that you can do, and it's like, I guess you gotta put it out on your Instagram in order for that to happen.
I mean, I think it's awesome. They're amongst fans, right? Marvel has always been really good at full length featured film, right? That's kind of been their sweet spot with the Avengers and all the other break aparts with Captain America, Black Widow. That's kind of their thing. And then on the DC side, they've always been a step ahead of Marvel when it comes to animation. And so they're pumping out animation all the time, and it's super high level. I mean, I don't miss it, man. I got my Max app, and I'm constantly watching a lot of the animation. So I just feel like, man, hopefully there's a lot of opportunity for you to do a lot of different things
Yeah,
through
yeah,
that
yeah.
because it seems like it would be a lot of fun, right? Like you said, it's still the grind is still there, the emotion's still in it, but it just seems like a lot of fun, man.
Oh yeah, it's still, listen, this whole thing, there's a reason why I can't give it up. I really can't because, and I've started businesses that took me away from acting for a little bit, not long, but like maybe a year, 2, 3 years, probably the longest. And I was miserable. I was like, man, but I'm going back to act. This is what I got to be doing. This is it for me. So yeah, it's I'm not giving it up. So uh I just got to put more effort into the voice stuff, which I wasn't. But the stuff that I was doing were things that was just like, yo, Jay, you got a nice voice. I want you to do this. So it is given to me, sort of things like that. So
So when that first role came about for voice acting, that wasn't something that you were actively looking for. It just kind of fell on your lap. That's
yeah,
pretty dope. How often
yeah.
does that happen in the industry?
That's how it always happens. So
Does it just kind of
to
falls on
me,
your lap
it's
and
like what happens is that the people who want voice actors want the big name voices. They want the most memorable names, right? And that's really it. So they like anybody, like if they hear Eddie Murphy, they want Eddie Murphy. Everybody know who Eddie Murphy voice is. So let's get Eddie Murphy. Chris Rock. Let's get Chris Rock. Kevin Hart. None of the actors are like that. We know what their voice is. Which I think is weird about that industry because you don't really need that. But
Agreed.
that's what they do. Voice recognition is important. So I guess my voice got to get a little more recognized in order for them to just drop some of those big Pixar films on me. Which I'm gonna go tour their studios pretty soon. Let's see what's
Nice.
going on over there.
That's how it starts, right? Kicking that door open and
Yeah,
making
yeah,
yourself
yeah,
aware and like,
yeah.
hey,
Still got
just
that
so
little
you know, I'm
grind.
here, right?
Yep, still walking through doors. Yep, still walking through doors. It's only way it's gonna happen.
I think of someone like a Jack Black, right, that did a lot of comedies, and now I think this guy does is voice acting now, right?
Yeah,
He's just
yeah.
killing it, man.
Oh, it's easy. You just show up to a studio in Burbank, California, relax, just snacks everywhere, and you just chill and do your voice joint. It's like
And you don't have to have a fighting body, right? You don't have to work all hard to get that fighting
you
body
ain't
to
got to
do
do
voice
none of that.
acting, right?
Nope, you don't have to do any of that, man. For
That's
real.
awesome, Jay, man. Well,
Uh,
Jay, I mean, I want to be super respectful of your time. I'm super appreciative that you made some time for me, man. I don't know if there was anything else that you kind of wanted to share about something that you're doing that you want people to know, or I want to make sure you have the last word.
well, look. I'm about to go do something for. I don't know if I can say this.
Yeah, don't get in
I'm about to
trouble,
go
man.
do
I've had that
yeah,
happen
I'm about to
before.
go do something for I'm about to go do some what do you call it? Then this cool technology on the LCD screens for a Netflix project.
Nice.
Um with big man Denzel in there. Now I I am
You can't say that name and just kind of that's, that's
anyway,
kind of big news, man.
look, Tom, look, you got a direct link to me. This is not going to be, hopefully, it's not the last time on your show.
I hope not, man. I would love to have
Feel
you back.
free to have me back to whether you want me to fill in for a guest who may have may have got like a conflict in time. But I'll definitely come back when I have a lot more information. I can break it on your show. But yeah, you can get it here first, guys. Check with this podcast. And oh, this is gonna be the podcast, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be visual and audio, so both.
Got you,
Yep.
got you. All right, cool. Yeah, and yeah, have me back, brother. Have me back, and then we could chop it up. I'll share what I could share, but any scoops that I know about, I'll drop them with you for sure.
I appreciate that, Jay, man. That's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
And you're an incredible dude, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciated meeting you the first time. Didn't realize how big you are, man. You're pretty tall. Pretty tall dude. I'm like, damn, Jay. You could be a linebacker, man. You're a large man, man. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoyed our first time together and being able to kind of chop it up. And then I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I think some of the stuff you shared today for those that are trying to break into this industry is just so helpful, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think a lot of people are going to listen to this and get a tremendous amount of help. And then obviously, I'm a big comic book fan. Most of my listeners are comic book fans, and they all know who you are because of the role that you played in Curtis on Punisher. And I could tell you just in talking with folks, man, if there is a Punisher 3 and you're not in it, man, I hope people get just as upset with Daredevil not bringing back that supporting cast because you can't do that, man. You just can't do that. So we're all pulling for you, man.
Yeah, and big shout out to you and your fans, the fans especially, because it is why, and that may sound cheesy, but it is actually why we are here. Like, there's a reason why we're even sitting here talking because I mean, we could do this with no camera and those and just have our conversation, but no, we want to get this out to the people who eat this stuff up. And again, I got really close and intimate with fans doing these conventions, and I know how they felt about the Punisher. And I just want to let you guys know that I really appreciate you. I never take you guys for granted. And I want to continue to bring great work to the people who look are inspired by what I do. And also remembering everybody like you, Tom. Again, I'll do the show. If you call, we'll set up a time, we could do it again. So don't hesitate, feel free. And you might even get a no from me, but that doesn't mean I ain't gonna do it at the time, you know what I'm saying? Because I respect what you do. We vibe. Again, when we sat there, we was able to chop it up. And I feel good energy from you. So yeah, big shout out to your fans. Big shout out to you, Tom.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate you, man. And I hope you have an amazing weekend. And thanks again for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Big fan of your work, and hope to see a lot more.
I want to bring you guys some great work. I want to bring you guys some really good work. All right, Tom.
Hey, take it easy, Jay. Thank you again.
Later, man.
Later, man.
Do you just cut here or
Yeah.